In a kingdom shrouded in mystery and guarded by towering mountains, there stood a grand castle known as Sapphire Castle. Its walls were adorned with shimmering blue stones that sparkled like stars in the night sky, earning the castle its name and reputation as the most beautiful in all the land. But behind the facade of beauty and grandeur lay a dark secret, one that had haunted the castle for generations. For within its walls lived a wealthy nobleman named Lord Azurite, known far and wide as Bluebeard for his striking blue beard and his sinister reputation. Lord Azurite had been married many times, yet each of his wives had mysteriously disappeared without a trace, leaving behind nothing but rumors and whispers of foul play. Despite his dark reputation, many noble women still sought his hand in marriage, drawn by the promise of wealth and luxury that Sapphire Castle offered. One day, a young woman named Alara arrived at Sapphire Castle, her heart filled with hope and trepidation as she prepared to become Lord Azurite's new bride. Though warned of the castle's dark history, Alara believed that her love could conquer any darkness that lay within its walls. But as the days passed, Alara grew increasingly curious about the locked door at the end of the hallway, forbidden to her by Lord Azurite's strict orders. Unable to resist the allure of the forbiddance, she found herself drawn to the door like a moth to a flame, her curiosity overwhelming her fear. One fateful night, while Lord Azurite was away on business, Alara's curiosity got the better of her, and she ventured into the forbiddance room. To her horror, she discovered a chamber filled with the lifeless bodies of Lord Azurite's former wives, their eyes wide with terror and their faces frozen in expressions of agony. Realizing the true extent of Lord Azurite's evil deeds, Alara knew that she had to escape Sapphire Castle before she became another victim of his dark desires. Gathering her courage, she fled into the night, leaving behind the horrors of Sapphire Castle and vowing to never return. As she journeyed far from the castle, Alara stumbled upon a group of travelers who took her in and offered her shelter and protection. With their help, she found a new home far away from the darkness of Sapphire Castle, where she lived out the rest of her days in peace and happiness. And though the memory of Lord Azurite and his dark deeds haunted her dreams, Alara knew that she had escaped a fate far worse than death, her courage and resilience shining like a beacon of hope in the darkness. In a bustling city by the sea, there stood a grand toy shop filled with wonders of all kinds. Among its treasures was a brave tin soldier, tall and steadfast, with a single leg made of tin and a heart filled with courage. The tin soldier stood proudly in his box, surrounded by his fellow toys, but his gaze was fixed on a delicate paper ballerina perched on a music box nearby. Her graceful form and gentle smile captivated him, and he longed to be by her side. One fateful day, a mischievous boy bought the tin soldier and placed him on a windowsill overlooking the bustling street below. But as fate would have it, a sudden gust of wind swept the tin soldier off the windowsill and into the rushing river below. Undeterred by the raging waters, the tin soldier remained steadfast, his heart filled with determination to find his way back to the toy shop and to the paper ballerina he loved. And though he faced many perils along the way, from hungry fish to treacherous currents, he pressed on, guided by his unwavering resolve. As the days turned into weeks, the tin soldier journeyed far and wide, his single tin leg carrying him through the darkest depths of the river and the stormiest seas. And though his body grew battered and worn, his spirit remained unbroken, fueled by his love for the paper ballerina. But just as he was on the verge of giving up hope, the tin soldier spotted a familiar sight on the riverbank, the toy shop where he had once lived. With a surge of determination, he swam towards shore, his heart filled with joy at the prospect of being reunited with his beloved ballerina. But as he reached the riverbank, disaster struck. The mischievous boy spotted the tin soldier and, mistaking him for a mere plaything, tossed him into the fireplace, where he was consumed by flames. As the tin soldier melted away, his heart filled with sadness, he caught a final glimpse of the paper ballerina perched on the music box nearby. And though his body may have been destroyed, his love for her endured, a testament to the steadfastness of his heart. And so, in the toy shop by the sea, It was said that the tin soldier's love for the paper ballerina transcended even the fiercest of trials, proving that true love knows no bounds, not even those of tin and fire. In a kingdom where kindness reigned supreme and compassion was cherished above all else, there lived a wise king named Alaric. His kingdom prospered under his rule, for he governed with fairness and generosity, and his subjects lived in harmony and peace. One day, as King Alaric wandered through the bustling marketplace, he overheard a group of villagers arguing amongst themselves. Each one believed their own needs and desires to be the most important, and they could not see past their own selfishness to find a resolution. Concerned by what he had witnessed, King Alaric called upon his council of advisors to help him devise a solution to the problem. Together, they pondered the issue late into the night, until at last, they came upon an idea that they believed would bring harmony back to the kingdom. The next morning, King Alaric announced to his subjects that he would be enacting a new law, the Golden Rule. This rule stated that every person in the kingdom must treat others as they would like to be treated themselves, with kindness, respect, and empathy. At first, some of the villagers scoffed at the idea, believing it to be too simplistic to solve their problems. But as they witnessed the changes taking place around them, they soon realized the power of the Golden Rule. Neighbors began helping one another without expecting anything in return. Strangers showed kindness to those in need, and even the animals of the forest seemed to behave with greater compassion towards one another. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, the kingdom flourished like never before. People from far and wide traveled to witness the marvel of King Alaric's kingdom, where love and understanding prevailed over greed and selfishness. From that day forth, the Golden Rule became the guiding principle of King Alaric's kingdom, a reminder to all that true happiness could only be found through acts of kindness and generosity towards others. And though challenges may arise, as long as the people of the kingdom followed the Golden Rule, they knew that they would always find their way back to the path of harmony and peace. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and verdant meadows, there lived an elderly couple named Ivan and Olga. Despite their advanced years, Ivan and Olga's hearts were filled with boundless energy and a love for the land they tended. One day, while working in their garden, Ivan stumbled upon a curious sight: a turnip of such enormous size that it seemed to defy the laws of nature. With a hearty laugh, Ivan called out to Olga, and together they set to work trying to unearth the gargantuan vegetable. But no matter how hard they pulled and tugged, the turnip remained firmly rooted in the earth, refusing to budge even an inch. Undeterred by the challenge, Ivan and Olga enlisted the help of their neighbors, calling upon them to lend their strength to the task at hand. One by one, the villagers came to Ivan and Olga's aid, each lending their hands to the effort to free the enormous turnip from the earth. With a mighty heave and a chorus of cheers, they finally succeeded in pulling the turnip from the ground, its massive form gleaming in the sunlight like a prize won in battle. Overjoyed by their success, Ivan and Olga invited the entire village to join them in a feast to celebrate their extraordinary harvest. The villagers gathered around the table, their plates piled high with hearty dishes made from the turnip's tender flesh. As they ate and drank and danced beneath the stars, Ivan and Olga realized the true power of community and cooperation. For it was not through their own strength alone that they had succeeded in pulling the enormous turnip from the earth, but through the combined efforts of all who had come together in a spirit of unity and friendship. And though the turnip may have been the largest ever seen in the village, it was the bonds of love and companionship forged on that day that would forever remain the truest and most enduring harvest of all. In a quaint seaside village where the waves whispered secrets to the shore, there lived a humble fisherman named Hans. Each day, Hans would cast his nets into the sparkling waters, hoping for a catch to provide for his beloved wife, Greta, and their small cottage by the sea. One day, As Hans sat upon the rocky shore, his line suddenly grew taut, and he pulled in the most magnificent fish he had ever seen, a shimmering creature with scales as silver as the moonlight. But before Hans could release it back into the sea, the fish spoke in a voice as clear as the ringing of bells. "Please spare my life," begged the fish, "and I shall grant you any wish your heart desires." Hans, taken aback by the fish's unexpected plea, hesitated for a moment before replying, "I wish for nothing more than my wife Greta's happiness and contentment." With a flick of its tail, the fish vanished beneath the waves, leaving Hans to wonder if it had all been a dream. Yet, when he returned home to Greta and told her of the miraculous encounter, she urged him to make a wish for something grander. "I wish for a cozy cottage where we can live in comfort and peace," Hans declared, thinking of Greta's tired hands and weary smile. To Hans' amazement, the fish granted his wish, and in the blink of an eye, their simple cottage was transformed into a splendid home with a thatched roof and a garden blooming with flowers. But as the days passed, Greta's desire for more grew insatiable. "We must ask for even greater riches," she insisted, her eyes gleaming with greed. Reluctantly, Hans returned to the shore and called out to the fish once more, requesting a grand mansion fit for royalty. And once again, the fish granted his wish, and Hans and Greta found themselves living in opulence beyond their wildest dreams. Yet, Greta's thirst for power knew no bounds. "We must become rulers of this land," she declared, her voice echoing with ambition. Hans, troubled by his wife's newfound greed, returned to the shore and begged the fish to make them king and queen. But as the fish granted their wish, the sea churned with anger, and a mighty storm swept across the land, washing away their mansion and leaving them with nothing but the humble cottage they had started with. Humbled by their folly, Hans and Greta realized the true value of contentment and gratitude. And though they may not have lived in grandeur, they found happiness in the simple pleasures of life by the sea, where the waves sang lullabies and the seagulls danced in the sky. In a land where winter lingered long and spring struggled to bloom, there stood a grand garden encircled by towering walls. Within this garden, nestled amidst frost-kissed trees and silent meadows, lived a selfish giant. The giant had long ago closed his heart and his garden to the children who once played there, driving them away with harsh words and icy glares. He guarded his precious garden with fierce determination, and willing to share its beauty with anyone but himself. As the seasons passed, the garden fell into disarray, its once vibrant flowers withering beneath the weight of the giant's selfishness. Only the smallest corner of the garden remained untouched by frost, a patch of earth where a single bird had built its nest. One day, as the giant roamed his barren garden, he heard the joyful laughter of children drifting on the wind. Curious, he peered over the wall and saw a sight that filled him with both wonder and longing: children playing amidst the flowers, their laughter like music in the air. But instead of welcoming them, the giant chased the children away, his voice booming with anger and resentment. And as they fled, the last remnants of warmth vanished from the garden, leaving it colder and lonelier than ever before. That night, as the giant lay in bed, he heard a gentle rustling outside his window. Peering out, he beheld a miraculous sight: the flowers were blooming once more, their petals unfurling beneath the touch of 1,000 tiny hands. Moved by the selflessness of the children, the giant's heart softened, and he realized the error of his ways. With tears in his eyes, he tore down the walls of his garden, welcoming the children back with open arms. From that day forth, the garden flourished with new life, its once barren earth transformed into a paradise of laughter and love. And though the giant remained a solitary figure, his heart was filled with the warmth of friendship and the joy of giving. And so, the tale of the selfish giant became a legend in the land, a timeless reminder of the power of kindness to thaw even the coldest of hearts and bring new life to the most barren of gardens. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a humble shoemaker named Tobias. Tobias was known far and wide for his skillful hands and his dedication to his craft, but despite his talents, times were tough, and he struggled to make ends meet. One cold winter's night, as Tobias sat by the fire, mending a worn-out pair of shoes, he lamented his dwindling fortunes. With a heavy sigh, he placed the shoes aside and retired to bed, hoping for a brighter tomorrow. But when he awoke the next morning, Tobias could scarcely believe his eyes. The shoes he had left by the hearth were now gleaming like new, adorned with intricate stitches and delicate patterns that he could never have created on his own. Perplexed and astonished, Tobias searched the house for clues, but found none. It was as if the shoes had been enchanted by some unseen magic, their transformation a mystery beyond his comprehension. Night after night, the same miraculous occurrence repeated itself, each morning revealing a new pair of shoes more beautiful than the last. And though Tobias tried to stay awake to catch a glimpse of the mysterious shoemakers at work, he always found himself drifting off to sleep, lulled by the crackling fire and the soft rustle of fabric. Determined to uncover the truth, Tobias devised a plan. He stayed awake one night, hiding behind a curtain as he waited for the mysterious visitors to appear. And sure enough, as the clock struck midnight, a pair of tiny elves emerged from the shadows, their tiny hands deftly weaving through the threads as they worked their magic on the shoes. Amazed by what he saw, Tobias stepped forward, revealing himself to the elves. At first, the elves were startled by his presence, but when they saw the kindness in Tobias's eyes, they knew they had nothing to fear. Grateful for their help, Tobias offered the elves a warm place by the fire and a hearty meal, inviting them to stay with him and his family. And though the elves were hesitant at first, they soon came to love their new home, filling it with laughter and joy. From that day forth, Tobias's shoemaking business flourished, his shoes coveted by all who saw them. And though the villagers marveled at his skill, only Tobias and the elves knew the true secret behind his success, that sometimes magic can be found in the most unexpected of places, and that kindness and gratitude are the greatest gifts of all. Once upon a time in a bustling port city by the shimmering sea, there lived a brave and adventurous sailor named Sinbad. He was renowned far and wide for his daring voyages and thrilling tales of adventure. Sinbad was not born into riches or nobility, but he possessed a heart filled with courage and a spirit hungry for the unknown. From a young age, he felt the call of the open sea, its vastness beckoning to him like a siren's song. One fateful day, Sinbad embarked on his greatest journey yet, setting sail aboard his majestic ship. With the wind at his back and the salty spray of the ocean on his face, he charted a course for distant lands and untold treasures. His first stop was the Island of Giants, a place shrouded in mystery and danger. As Sinbad and his crew ventured ashore, they were met by towering figures with fierce faces and thunderous voices. Yet, through cunning and quick thinking, Sinbad managed to outsmart the giants and escape with precious jewels and ancient artifacts in tow. Next, Sinbad sailed to the Enchanted Isle, where mystical creatures roamed and magic hung heavy in the air. Here, he encountered mermaids with voices that could enchant the very waves and dragons that guarded hidden treasures in their lairs. But with his wits and bravery, Sinbad overcame every obstacle, proving himself a true hero of the high seas. But the greatest trial of Sinbad's journey came when he faced the dreaded sea serpent, a fearsome beast that terrorized sailors and devoured ships whole. With his crew quaking in fear, Sinbad stood tall, his heart unyielding against the beast's wrath. In a battle that shook the very foundations of the ocean, Sinbad and the sea serpent clashed, each refusing to back down. Yet, in the end, it was Sinbad's courage and determination that prevailed, as he vanquished the serpent and saved his crew from certain doom. As word of Sinbad's exploits spread across the seven seas, he became a legend, celebrated in song and story for generations to come. And though his adventures were many and his challenges great, Sinbad the sailor sailed on, his spirit forever bound to the boundless horizon and the promise of new adventures yet to come. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled between rugged mountains and whispering forests, there lived a humble family. Among them was a young maiden named Astrid, whose beauty was as radiant as the northern lights that danced across the sky. Yet, despite her enchanting presence, Astrid harbored a deep sadness, for her family had fallen on hard times. One frosty evening, as Astrid gazed out of her window, she spotted a magnificent white bear roaming the snowy landscape. To her surprise, the bear approached the cottage and stood before her, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly wisdom. "I have come to ask for your help," the bear spoke in a voice as gentle as a winter breeze. "Deep in the heart of the enchanted forest lies a castle, ruled by a wicked enchantress. She has placed a curse upon me, transforming me into this form. Only the love of a pure-hearted maiden can break the spell." Though hesitant, Astrid felt a stirring in her heart, sensing a chance to change her fate. With a solemn vow, she agreed to accompany the bear on his quest to break the curse. Thus, under the light of the silvery moon, Astrid embarked on a journey beyond the known realms of her world. Together, they traversed treacherous mountains, crossed raging rivers, and ventured deep into the heart of the enchanted forest. At last, they reached the castle shrouded in mist and magic. Inside, they found the enchantress, a formidable figure cloaked in darkness. With steely determination, Astrid confronted the enchantress, her courage shining brighter than any star in the night sky. In a climactic battle of wills, Astrid faced trials of fire and ice, overcoming each obstacle with unwavering resolve. With each victory, the enchantress's power waned until, at last, the curse was broken, and the white bear stood before Astrid in his true form, a handsome prince with eyes as blue as the clearest summer sky. Grateful beyond words, the prince pledged his eternal devotion to Astrid, offering her a life of love and prosperity in his kingdom. And so, they journeyed back to the village, where Astrid's family rejoiced at her triumphant return. In the years that followed, Astrid and the prince ruled their kingdom with wisdom and compassion, their love a beacon of hope for all who beheld it. And though their adventures were but a distant memory, the tale of the maiden who journeyed east of the sun and west of the moon lived on, inspiring generations with its message of courage, love, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Ella. After her mother passed away, her father remarried a woman with 2 daughters of her own, Anastasia and Drizella. Ella's stepfamily was cruel and treated her like a servant in her own home. Despite her hardships, Ella remained gentle and hopeful, finding solace in her friendships with the animals that roamed the woods near her home. She would often spend her days singing and talking to the birds and mice, who became her loyal companions. One day, an invitation arrived at their doorstep. The kingdom was hosting a grand ball in honor of the prince's birthday, and every maiden in the land was invited. Ella's stepmother and stepsisters were thrilled at the prospect of attending, but they made it clear that Ella was to stay home and tend to her chores. As the day of the ball approached, Ella's heart grew heavy with longing. She dreamed of dancing under the starlit sky and meeting the prince, but she knew it was only a fantasy. However, her fairy godmother, who had been watching over her all along, appeared before her. With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed Ella's tattered dress into a magnificent gown, her rags into glass slippers, and a pumpkin into a dazzling carriage. But there was one condition: Ella must leave the ball before midnight, for when the clock struck 12, the magic would fade. Ella arrived at the ball, her beauty shining brighter than the stars. As she danced with the prince, she felt like she was floating on air, and for a moment, all her worries melted away. The prince was captivated by her grace and charm, and they danced the night away until the clock began to chime. In her haste to leave, Ella's glass slipper slipped off her foot, but she had no time to retrieve it. She fled from the palace, her heart racing with exhilaration and fear. The prince searched the kingdom far and wide, determined to find the mysterious maiden who had stolen his heart. Finally, the prince arrived at Ella's humble home, where her stepsisters were trying in vain to squeeze their feet into the glass slipper. When Ella presented herself, her true identity revealed, the slipper fit perfectly, and the prince knew he had found his true love. And so, Ella's days of hardship came to an end as she married the prince and became the beloved princess of the kingdom. With her kindness and compassion, she brought joy and harmony to all who knew her, proving that true love and goodness will always prevail in the end. Once upon a time, in a kingdom surrounded by lush forests and shimmering lakes, there lived a beautiful princess named Aurora. From the moment she was born, the kingdom rejoiced, for fairies blessed her with gifts of beauty, grace, and kindness. But one wicked fairy, who had not been invited to the celebration, placed a curse upon Aurora. On her 16th birthday, she would prick her finger on a spindle and fall into a deep sleep, from which she could only be awakened by true love's kiss. Determined to protect their beloved daughter, the king and queen banished all spindles from the kingdom and placed Aurora under the watchful care of 3 good fairies. They raised her in a secluded cottage deep in the woods, where Aurora grew into a kind and gentle young woman, unaware of the curse that loomed over her. On her 16th birthday, Aurora wandered into the forbidden tower hidden within the forest. There, she discovered an old spinning wheel and, curious, reached out to touch it. In an instant, the curse was fulfilled, and Aurora fell into a deep slumber. Heartbroken, the fairies placed Aurora on a bed of flowers and cast a protective spell over the kingdom, ensuring that all within its borders would sleep alongside the princess until the curse was broken. Years passed, and a brave prince heard of the sleeping kingdom and its beautiful princess. Determined to break the curse and awaken Aurora, he journeyed through the enchanted forest until he reached the castle's gates. As he entered the castle, he was met with the sight of sleeping guards, servants, and courtiers. Undeterred, he made his way to the tower where Aurora lay, her beauty untouched by time. Gently, the prince leaned down and kissed Aurora's lips, pouring all his love and hope into the gesture. And in that moment, Aurora stirred from her slumber, her eyes fluttering open as she gazed upon her true love. With the curse broken, the kingdom awoke from its enchanted sleep, and joyous celebrations echoed throughout the land. Aurora and the prince were married in a grand ceremony, and their love brought peace and happiness to the kingdom for generations to come. And so, the tale of Sleeping Beauty became a legend, a testament to the power of love, courage, and the belief that even the darkest curses can be overcome with true love's kiss. In the depths of the ocean, where sunlight barely reached and corals gleamed like jewels, there lived a young mermaid named Marina. She was the youngest of King Triton's daughters, with hair as golden as the sun and a voice that enchanted all who heard it. But Marina longed for more than the ocean depths could offer. She yearned to explore the world above, to feel the warmth of the sun on her skin and the cool breeze in her hair. And so, on her 16th birthday, Marina rose to the surface, her heart brimming with curiosity and excitement. As she gazed upon the world above, Marina spotted a majestic ship sailing across the horizon, its sails billowing in the wind. Mesmerized by its beauty, she swam closer, and aware of the storm brewing on the horizon. But as the storm descended upon the ship, Marina spotted a lone figure struggling in the churning waters, a handsome prince with eyes as blue as the ocean itself. Without hesitation, she swam to his side, guiding him to safety and singing a haunting melody to soothe his troubled soul. When the storm passed and the prince awoke, he found himself on the shore, his savior nowhere to be found. But Marina's voice lingered in his heart, haunting him like a distant dream. Determined to find the mysterious maiden who had saved him, the prince searched the shores far and wide, his heart yearning for the enchanting voice that had captured his soul. And when he finally laid eyes on Marina, he knew that she was the one he had been searching for. But their love was forbidden, for Marina was a mermaid, and the prince belonged to the world above. Desperate to be with her beloved, Marina made a bargain with the sea witch, trading her voice for a chance to walk on land and win the prince's heart. Transformed into a human, Marina stepped onto the shore, her heart filled with hope and longing. But without her voice, she could not express her love to the prince, and he remained unaware of her sacrifice. Yet, as they danced beneath the moonlit sky, Marina's love shone brighter than any words could convey, and the prince realized that true love transcended barriers of land and sea. With a kiss, he broke the sea witch's spell, restoring Marina's voice and sealing their love for all eternity. And so, Marina and the prince were married in a grand ceremony, their union a symbol of love's enduring power and the magic that binds the hearts of all who believe in its wonders. In a kingdom nestled amidst rolling hills and shimmering lakes, there lived a princess of unparalleled beauty and grace. Yet, despite her radiant charm, the princess remained aloof and distant, her heart as elusive as the moon's reflection on a glassy lake. In the center of the kingdom stood a towering glass hill, said to hold the key to unlocking the princess's heart. Many brave suitors had attempted to climb its steep slopes, drawn by the promise of winning her hand in marriage, but none had succeeded. One day, a humble farmer named Lars heard of the princess's challenge and felt a stirring in his soul. Though he had no royal blood or noble lineage, Lars possessed a spirit as unyielding as the mountains themselves and a determination that knew no bounds. Armed with nothing but a sturdy pair of boots and a heart full of courage, Lars set out to conquer the glass hill and claim his destiny. As he neared the summit, Lars encountered a host of magical creatures, gnomes and fairies, trolls and sprites, all determined to thwart his ascent. But with quick wit and unwavering determination, Lars outsmarted them all, forging ahead toward his goal. At last, he reached the pinnacle of the glass hill, where the princess awaited him, her eyes sparkling with admiration and wonder. Moved by Lars's bravery and humility, she welcomed him with open arms, recognizing in him the true essence of nobility. And so, Lars and the princess were wed amidst a grand celebration, their union symbolizing the triumph of love over adversity and the power of perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. From that day forth, Lars and the princess ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion, their love a beacon of hope and inspiration to all who beheld it. And though the glass hill remained a formidable symbol of challenge and perseverance, it also stood as a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit and the transformative power of love. In a quaint village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a kind-hearted maiden named Belle. She was known throughout the village for her gentle nature and love for reading, often losing herself in the pages of fantastical tales. But nearby, deep within a mysterious forest, there dwelled a creature feared by all, a beast whose appearance struck terror into the hearts of those who crossed his path. Once a handsome prince, he had been cursed by an enchantress for his selfish ways, condemned to live as a beast until he could learn to love and be loved in return. One fateful day, Belle's father, Morris, set out on a journey through the forest but became lost in a sudden snowstorm. Seeking shelter, he stumbled upon the beast's castle, where he was welcomed by its enchanted inhabitants, a teapot, a clock, and other household objects brought to life by the curse. Upon learning of her father's plight, Belle bravely ventured into the forest to find him. Deep in the woods, she discovered the beast's castle and, with courage in her heart, offered to take her father's place as the beast's prisoner. Though initially fearful of the beast's monstrous appearance, Belle soon discovered that there was more to him than met the eye. Despite his gruff exterior, the beast showed Belle kindness and gentleness, offering her the castle's vast library and inviting her to share in lavish meals together. As days turned into weeks, Belle and the beast formed a deep bond, their friendship blossoming into something more. Yet, the curse still hung over them, and the beast feared that he would never break free from its grasp. But Belle saw past the beast's fearsome exterior and into the goodness within his heart. She came to realize that true beauty lay not in appearances but in kindness, compassion, and the capacity to love. Moved by Belle's unwavering love and devotion, the beast's heart began to thaw, and he discovered the true meaning of love. And in that moment, the enchantress's curse was broken, transforming the beast back into the handsome prince he once was. With the curse lifted, the prince and Belle were married in a joyous celebration that echoed throughout the kingdom. And as they danced beneath the stars, surrounded by their friends and loved ones, they knew that their love would endure for all eternity, a beacon of hope and redemption for all who believed in the power of love. In a kingdom surrounded by towering walls of stone, there lived a young maiden named Rapunzel. She was blessed with hair as golden as the sun and eyes as green as emeralds, but her beauty was hidden away from the world. Rapunzel had been locked away in a tall tower by an enchantress since she was a babe, her only companionship the songs of the birds and the rustle of the wind through the trees. The tower had neither door nor staircase, and Rapunzel could only watch the world from her window high above. One day, a handsome prince passing through the forest heard Rapunzel's melodic voice floating through the air. Entranced by her song, he followed the sound until he came upon the tower hidden among the trees. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," the prince called, his voice echoing through the forest. Rapunzel peered out from her window, her heart racing with excitement. With a smile, she unfurled her long, golden locks and lowered them down to the prince below. With great care, the prince climbed up the tower, his eyes widening in wonder at the sight of Rapunzel's beauty. From that day forth, the prince visited Rapunzel every night, bringing her stories of the world beyond the tower's walls and promising to one day set her free. But their happiness was short-lived, for the enchantress who had imprisoned Rapunzel discovered their secret meetings. Enraged by their defiance, she cast a spell that banished the prince from the kingdom and sent Rapunzel far away to a distant land. Heartbroken and alone, Rapunzel wandered through the wilderness, her tears falling like rain upon the earth. But as she journeyed, she discovered the strength and courage within herself, and she vowed to reclaim her freedom and find her beloved prince once more. Years passed, and Rapunzel's golden hair grew even longer, reaching down to the forest floor like a shimmering cascade of sunlight. And one day, as she stood atop a high cliff overlooking the sea, she spotted a ship sailing in the distance, its sails billowing in the wind. With renewed hope in her heart, Rapunzel called out to the sailors, her voice carrying across the waves like a beacon of light. And as the ship drew nearer, she saw a familiar figure standing at the prow of the prince, his eyes shining with love and longing. With a leap of faith, Rapunzel dove into the sea, her golden hair trailing behind her like a banner of freedom. And as she swam towards the ship, the prince reached out his hand, pulling her aboard and into his loving embrace. Together, they sailed across the endless sea, their hearts united in love and determination. And though they faced many trials and tribulations on their journey, Rapunzel and the prince never wavered in their quest for happiness and freedom, proving that true love knows no bounds and that even the tallest towers cannot imprison the spirit forever. Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled among snow-capped mountains, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as fair as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as dark as ebony. But her stepmother, the queen, was consumed by jealousy over Snow White's beauty. Fearing that Snow White's beauty would surpass her own, the queen ordered her huntsman to take Snow White deep into the forest and dispose of her. However, unable to carry out such a wicked deed, the huntsman spared Snow White's life and urged her to flee into the woods. Lost and alone, Snow White wandered through the enchanted forest until she stumbled upon a small cottage hidden among the trees. Inside, she found 7 tiny beds, each with its own set of belongings. Realizing that the cottage belonged to 7 dwarfs, Snow White decided to clean and tidy up the place while she waited for their return. When the dwarfs returned home, they were surprised to find Snow White asleep in one of their beds. Moved by her kindness, they welcomed her into their home with open arms. Snow White soon became like a sister to the dwarfs, and they promised to protect her from the queen's wrath. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the queen consulted her magic mirror daily, seeking reassurance that she was still the fairest in the land. But each time, the mirror replied that Snow White was the fairest of them all, sending the queen into a rage. Determined to rid herself of Snow White once and for all, the queen disguised herself as an old peddler woman and offered Snow White a poisoned apple. Despite the dwarf's warnings, Snow White took a bite of the apple and fell into a deep slumber. Heartbroken, the dwarfs placed Snow White in a glass coffin and mourned her untimely fate. But as time passed, a prince from a neighboring kingdom heard of Snow White's beauty and came to pay his respects. Upon seeing her lying in the coffin, the prince was captivated by her beauty and leaned down to kiss her. The power of true love's kiss broke the queen's curse, and Snow White awoke from her slumber. Overjoyed to be reunited with the prince, Snow White returned to his kingdom, where they were married in a grand ceremony. As for the queen, her jealousy and wickedness consumed her, and she met her own tragic end. But Snow White and her prince ruled the kingdom with kindness and compassion, and their love endured for all eternity, a testament to the enduring power of true love and goodness. In a kingdom where the sun painted the sky with hues of gold and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there resided a young princess named Alara. Her beauty was renowned far and wide, yet she possessed a kind and gentle heart that endeared her to all who knew her. One day, as Alara wandered through the palace gardens, she stumbled upon a hidden chamber tucked away in the depths of the castle. Within this chamber lay a magnificent mirror, its frame adorned with shimmering jewels and its surface polished to perfection. Intrigued by the mirror's beauty, Alara approached and gazed into its depths. To her astonishment, the mirror began to shimmer and glow, revealing visions of distant lands and unseen wonders. But as Alara continued to peer into the mirror, she discovered its true power, a power that could grant her every wish and desire. With a mere whisper, she could command the mirror to show her the future, to reveal hidden truths, and to fulfill her deepest longings. At first, Alara was enchanted by the mirror's magic, using its powers to explore the world beyond the palace walls and to glimpse the wonders that lay ahead. But as time passed, she became consumed by its allure, losing herself in a world of illusions and fantasies. Unbeknownst to Alara, the mirror was not merely a tool of enchantment but a sinister force that fed on her desires and dreams, twisting them into shadows and lies. With each passing day, its influence grew stronger, threatening to consume Alara's soul and plunge the kingdom into darkness. Fearing for his daughter's well-being, the king sought the guidance of a wise old sage, who warned him of the mirror's true nature. He urged the king to break the mirror's spell before it was too late, lest Alara be lost to its enchantment forever. With a heavy heart, the king confronted Alara and begged her to forsake the mirror's magic before it consumed her completely. At first, Alara resisted, unable to tear herself away from the allure of the mirror's power. But as she looked into her father's eyes, filled with love and concern, Alara realized the truth: the mirror's magic was but an illusion, a fleeting shadow that paled in comparison to the warmth of human connection and the beauty of the world around her. With a determined spirit, Alara turned away from the mirror, shattering its spell with a single act of courage. As the mirror's enchantment faded, the kingdom bathed in the light of a new dawn, free from the darkness that had threatened to consume it. From that day forth, Alara vowed to cherish the world around her, finding joy and fulfillment not in the false promises of magic but in the simple pleasures of love, friendship, and the beauty of the natural world. And though the mirror's allure had faded, its lessons remained a reminder that true happiness could never be found in illusions but in the genuine connections forged between hearts and souls. Once upon a time, in a kingdom shrouded in the mists of legend, there lived a princess named Anya, with hair as dark as midnight and eyes as bright as the stars. Anya was the jewel of her father's kingdom, beloved by all who knew her. Yet, despite the adoration of her subjects, Anya longed for adventure beyond the confines of the castle walls. She yearned to explore the vast wilderness that lay beyond the kingdom, to discover the secrets hidden within the ancient forests and towering mountains. One day, as Anya wandered through the palace gardens, she heard a soft rustling in the bushes nearby. Curious, she approached the source of the sound and was astonished to find a magnificent firebird nestled among the leaves, its feathers ablaze with hues of crimson and gold. Enchanted by the bird's beauty, Anya reached out to touch its shimmering plumage. But as her fingers brushed against its feathers, the firebird let out a piercing cry and took flight, disappearing into the sky with a flash of flame. Determined to capture the elusive creature, Anya set out on a quest to find the firebird and unravel the mystery of its existence. Along the way, she encountered many challenges and obstacles, from treacherous forests teeming with mythical beasts to towering mountains that reached up to touch the heavens. Yet, despite the dangers that lurked around every corner, Anya pressed on, her heart filled with determination and courage. For she knew that only by capturing the firebird could she fulfill her destiny and uncover the truth behind its magical powers. After many trials and tribulations, Anya finally reached the heart of the enchanted forest, where the firebird was said to dwell. There, amid the towering trees and winding paths, she found the bird perched upon a branch, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. With trembling hands, Anya reached out to capture the firebird, but before she could do so, a voice rang out from the shadows. "Stop!" cried a figure emerging from the darkness. "Do not harm the firebird, for it holds the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe." Anya turned to face the newcomer and was astonished to find herself standing before the legendary sorcerer, Ivan. With his ancient wisdom and magical powers, Ivan had been searching for the firebird for centuries, seeking to harness its energy for the greater good. Realizing the folly of her quest, Anya bowed before Ivan and begged for his forgiveness. Moved by her humility and sincerity, Ivan took pity on the young princess and offered her a choice to return home to her kingdom or to join him on his quest to unlock the mysteries of the firebird. Without hesitation, Anya chose to accompany Ivan on his journey, eager to explore the wonders of the world alongside the legendary sorcerer. And though their adventures were fraught with danger and uncertainty, Anya knew that as long as she had Ivan by her side, she would never be alone. And so, together they set out into the unknown, their hearts filled with hope and wonder, as they embarked on a quest that would change the course of history forever. In a kingdom where the moon cast its silver glow over rolling hills and tranquil lakes, there lived a wise and compassionate king who sought a true princess for his son, the prince. Many maidens came to the palace, claiming to be princesses, but none seemed to possess the qualities of a genuine royal. One stormy night, a young woman arrived at the palace, her clothes drenched and her demeanor humble. She claimed to be a princess, seeking refuge from the raging tempest. The king, intrigued by her sincerity, welcomed her into the palace and offered her shelter for the night. To test the young woman's claim, the queen devised a clever plan. She ordered the servants to prepare a bed for the princess that was fit for royalty, but hidden beneath 20 soft mattresses and 20 feather beds, she placed a single pea. The next morning, the queen eagerly inquired about the princess's night's rest. To her surprise, the young woman complained of discomfort, claiming that she had been unable to sleep a wink due to a mysterious lump in her bed. The king and queen exchanged knowing glances, for they knew that only a true princess could possess such sensitivity. Convinced of her authenticity, they welcomed her into the royal family with open arms. As the young woman settled into her new life at the palace, her kindness and humility endeared her to the prince and his family. Together, they ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion, bringing prosperity and joy to all who dwelled within its borders. And so, the kingdom flourished under the reign of the true princess, her genuine nature shining like a beacon of light in a world filled with falsehoods and pretense. Her story became legend, inspiring generations to come to seek truth and authenticity in all their endeavors. In a kingdom where the rivers sparkled like diamonds and the forests whispered secrets to the wind, there lived a wise and just king. His kingdom prospered under his rule, but as the years passed, he grew ill, and no remedy could cure him. Word spread throughout the land of a magical water that could heal any ailment, known as the Water of Life. Determined to save her father, the princess, named Isabella, embarked on a quest to find this elusive cure. Guided by the tales of ancient lore, Isabella journeyed through enchanted forests and treacherous mountains, her heart filled with hope and determination. Along the way, she encountered many trials and challenges, but she persevered, driven by her love for her father. After many days of travel, Isabella reached the edge of a vast desert, where she found a hidden oasis shimmering in the sunlight. And there, beneath the shade of a towering palm tree, she discovered a well guarded by a fearsome serpent. Undeterred, Isabella approached the serpent with courage and respect, offering it a golden apple as a token of her goodwill. And to her surprise, the serpent accepted her gift and allowed her to draw water from the well. With the water of life in hand, Isabella hurried back to the kingdom, where her father lay weak and frail upon his bed. With trembling hands, she lifted the cup to his lips and watched as the magical water worked its wonders, restoring him to health and vitality. As the king rose from his bed, renewed and rejuvenated, he gathered his people before him and proclaimed Isabella as the true hero of the kingdom. And though she had faced many dangers on her quest, she knew that the greatest reward of all was the love and gratitude of her father and her people. From that day forth, the kingdom flourished under the reign of the king and his beloved daughter. And though the water of life had saved the king's life, it was Isabella's courage, kindness, and unwavering determination that had truly brought light and hope to the land. In a kingdom nestled among emerald hills and shimmering lakes, there lived a king blessed with 12 daughters, each more beautiful than the last. Yet, despite their grace and charm, the princesses harbored a secret. They danced through the night in a hidden realm, their slippers worn thin with every clandestine escapade. Perplexed by the mysterious disappearance of their shoes, the king issued a decree, promising a princely sum and the hand of his eldest daughter to any man who could unravel the enigma. Brave knights and cunning adventurers flocked to the palace, but none could uncover the truth. Among the suitors was a humble cobbler named Liam, whose kind heart and keen eye caught the attention of the youngest princess, Alara. Determined to solve the riddle, Liam fashioned a pair of enchanted shoes, crafted to withstand the rigors of the princess's nightly revels. That very evening, as the moon rose high in the sky, Liam followed the princesses to their secret chamber, hidden beneath the roots of an ancient oak tree. With bated breath, he watched as they donned their shimmering gowns and slipped on the shoes he had crafted. As the princesses danced with unparalleled grace, Liam marveled at their beauty, his heart filled with admiration. Yet, as the night wore on, he noticed a sadness in their eyes, a longing for freedom beyond the confines of their gilded cage. Moved by compassion, Liam revealed himself to the princesses, offering them a chance to escape their father's strict rule. With tears of gratitude, they accepted his offer, and together, they embarked on a journey to a distant land where they could dance beneath the stars without fear of retribution. Upon their arrival, Liam and the princesses built a new kingdom, a realm where music and laughter echoed through the streets, where every soul danced to the rhythm of their own hearts. And though they left behind the comforts of their old life, they found true happiness in the freedom to live and love as they pleased. As for the king, he mourned the loss of his daughters but took solace in the knowledge that they had found their own path to happiness. And so, the tale of the 12 dancing princesses became a legend, a testament to the power of love, kindness, and the enduring spirit of adventure. In the vast and mystical land of Russia, where snow-capped mountains met endless forests and the northern lights danced across the sky, there lived a young maiden named Anastasia. She was known throughout the village for her beauty and grace, but it was her kind heart and gentle spirit that truly set her apart. One winter's eve, as Anastasia wandered through the forest, she stumbled upon a magnificent falcon with feathers as black as the midnight sky and eyes as bright as the stars. Enthralled by its beauty, she approached the falcon with caution, marveling at its strength and majesty. To her surprise, the falcon spoke to her in a voice as soft as the wind, revealing itself to be Finis, the enchanted prince of the skies. Cursed by an evil sorcerer, Finis was condemned to spend his days as a falcon until he could find true love and break the spell that bound him. Moved by compassion and empathy, Anastasia vowed to help Finis break the curse and reclaim his human form. Together, they embarked on a quest to seek out the feather of the mighty falcon, which was said to hold the key to undoing the sorcerer's magic. Their journey took them through enchanted forests and treacherous mountains, where they faced trials and tribulations beyond imagination. But through their courage and determination, they persevered, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. At last, they reached the top of the tallest mountain, where they found the nest of the legendary falcon. With trembling hands, Anastasia plucked a single feather from the nest, its iridescent beauty shining in the sunlight. As she held the feather in her hand, a brilliant light filled the sky, and Finis' true form was revealed before her eyes. With tears of joy streaming down her face, Anastasia embraced her beloved prince, their love and devotion breaking the sorcerer's curse once and for all. From that day forth, Anastasia and Finis ruled over the land together, their kingdom blessed with prosperity and peace. And though their journey had been long and difficult, they knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. In a land where winter reigned supreme, nestled amidst towering pine trees and blankets of snow, there lived a humble woodcutter named Ivan. His axe sang through the frosty air, splitting logs with precision as he toiled day and night to provide for his family. One bitter winter's eve, as Ivan ventured deep into the heart of the forest in search of firewood, he stumbled upon a sight that took his breath away. Amidst a glade bathed in moonlight stood a maiden of ethereal beauty, her skin as fair as freshly fallen snow and her eyes as blue as the winter sky. Entranced by her otherworldly presence, Ivan approached the maiden with reverence, his heart pounding with wonder. She smiled at him, her lips the color of rose petals, and Ivan knew in that moment that he had encountered something truly magical. The maiden introduced herself as Sneguroshka, the snow maiden, born of frost and moonlight. She spoke of her longing to experience the warmth of human companionship, to feel the touch of a gentle hand and the warmth of a loving embrace. Touched by her plight, Ivan welcomed Sneguroshka into his home, where she was greeted with open arms by his wife, Katya, and their children. Together, they shared tales by the crackling fire, their laughter echoing through the humble cottage like the tinkling of ice crystals. As days turned into weeks, Sneguroshka became like a daughter to Ivan and Katya, her laughter bringing joy to their hearts even in the coldest of winters. But as the days grew longer and the sun climbed higher in the sky, Ivan noticed a change in Sneguroshka. Her once vibrant complexion began to pale, and her laughter grew fainter with each passing day. Fearful for her well-being, Ivan sought the advice of the village wise woman, who revealed the truth of Sneguroshka's existence. Born of frost and moonlight, Sneguroshka's very essence was tied to the winter months. As the seasons changed and the warmth of spring thawed the icy grip of winter, Sneguroshka's life force waned, her fragile form fading like a snowflake in the sun. Heartbroken by the revelation, Ivan and Katya vowed to cherish every moment they had left with Sneguroshka, filling her days with love and laughter until the inevitable arrival of spring. And when the time finally came for Sneguroshka to return to the realm of frost and snow, she left behind memories as precious as diamonds in the snow. Though Sneguroshka's time with them was fleeting, her spirit lived on in the hearts of Ivan and Katya, a reminder of the beauty and magic that can be found even in the darkest of winters. And so, the legend of the Snow Maiden lived on, a testament to the enduring power of love and friendship. In a quaint village nestled beside a winding river in the heart of Germany, there lived a young fisherman named Klaus. His days were spent casting his net into the cool waters, hoping for a bountiful catch to provide for his family. One moonlit night, as Klaus sat by the river's edge mending his nets, he heard a soft, melodious voice calling out to him from the depths of the water. Intrigued, he leaned closer, his heart pounding with curiosity. To his amazement, rising from the shimmering surface of the river, appeared a beautiful maiden with long flowing hair the color of the water itself. Her eyes sparkled like sapphires in the moonlight, and her voice was as gentle as a summer breeze. "I am the water nixie," she said, her voice echoing in Klaus's ears like the sweetest of melodies. "And I have watched over this river for centuries, guiding its waters and protecting its inhabitants." Enchanted by her beauty and captivated by her words, Klaus found himself drawn to the water nixie, eager to learn more about her mysterious world beneath the waves. As they talked through the night, Klaus discovered that the water nixie was not only a guardian of the river but also a keeper of its secrets and its stories. She shared with him tales of lost treasures hidden in the depths, of ancient spirits that dwelled among the reeds, and of the magic that flowed through every ripple and eddy. But as the first light of dawn began to break across the horizon, the water nixie's form began to shimmer and fade, like mist melting beneath the sun's rays. With a sorrowful smile, she bid farewell to Klaus, promising to return to him whenever he called upon her. And as she disappeared beneath the surface of the water, Klaus knew that he would never forget the night he met the water nixie, and the magic that had touched his heart. From that day forth, Klaus continued to fish in the river, but now he did so with a newfound reverence for the waters and all the creatures that called it home. And though he may never see the water nixie again, he took comfort in the knowledge that she would always be there, watching over him and guiding him on his journey through life. In a distant land where the winters were long and harsh, there bloomed a tiny blue flower unlike any other. Its petals shimmered like sapphires in the sunlight, and its fragrance filled the air with a sweet, enchanting scent. Legend whispered of the flower's magical properties to those who plucked it from the frozen earth. It was said to grant a single wish, no matter how impossible it seemed. One frosty morning, a young maiden named Elena ventured into the forest in search of firewood to warm her family's hearth. As she wandered among the snow-covered trees, she stumbled upon the little blue flower, its delicate petals peeking out from beneath a blanket of frost. Filled with wonder and curiosity, Elena reached out to touch the flower, and to her amazement, it glowed with a soft, ethereal light. With a flutter of her heart, she made a wish for the health and happiness of her ailing mother, who lay bedridden with a mysterious illness. No sooner had Elena uttered her wish than the little blue flower began to shimmer and glow, its petals unfurling to reveal a tiny fairy with wings as delicate as gossamer. The fairy smiled at Elena with eyes as bright as stars and whispered a promise to grant her wish. With a wave of her wand, the fairy disappeared, leaving Elena with a sense of hope and anticipation in her heart. And sure enough, when she returned home, she found her mother sitting up in bed, her cheeks rosy with health and vitality. Overjoyed by her mother's miraculous recovery, Elena vowed to cherish the little blue flower and its gift of healing for all eternity. And though the flower faded and withered with the changing of the seasons, its magic lived on in the hearts of all who knew its tale. And so, the legend of the little blue flower spread throughout the land, a symbol of hope and renewal in the darkest of times. And though many sought to find the flower and claim its magic for themselves, none could ever match the pureness of Elena's heart or the depth of her love for her mother. In the heart of an ancient kingdom, where marble columns rose to meet the sky and olive trees danced in the breeze, there lived a young maiden named Persephone. She was the beloved daughter of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and her laughter echoed through the fields as she tended to the flowers and fruits. One day, as Persephone wandered through the meadows, she came upon a cluster of pomegranate trees, their branches heavy with ripe fruit. Entranced by their ruby-red seeds glistening in the sunlight, she plucked a single seed and tasted its sweetness. Unbeknownst to Persephone, the pomegranate seed held a powerful enchantment, woven by Hades, the god of the underworld. With each bite, Persephone unwittingly sealed her fate, binding herself to the realm of shadows and darkness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a great chasm opened in the earth, and Hades emerged, his chariot drawn by coal-black steeds. With a swift motion, he whisked Persephone away to the underworld, leaving her mother, Demeter, grief-stricken and desolate. For months, Demeter mourned the loss of her daughter, her sorrow casting a shadow over the land. The once lush fields withered and died, and famine gripped the kingdom in its icy grasp. In her despair, Demeter beseeched Zeus, the king of the gods, to intervene and rescue Persephone from the clutches of Hades. Moved by her anguish, Zeus agreed to negotiate with Hades, but the god of the underworld was unwilling to release his captive. In the end, a compromise was reached. Persephone would spend half of the year with Hades in the underworld, where she would reign as queen of the shadows. But for the other half of the year, she would return to the world above, bringing with her the warmth of spring and the promise of new life. And so, the cycle of the seasons was born, a testament to the power of love and sacrifice. Each year, as Persephone emerged from the depths of the underworld, the earth rejoiced, bursting forth with flowers and fruits in celebration of her return. And though the pomegranate seed had bound her to the realm of shadows, Persephone's spirit remained free, a beacon of hope and resilience in a world filled with darkness and despair. Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled beneath the branches of a mighty oak tree, there lived a young girl named Lily. Lily's family had tended to the village's nut tree for generations, and it was said to hold a special magic that granted wishes to those who cared for it with love and kindness. From the moment she could walk, Lily felt a deep connection to the nut tree, spending her days playing beneath its leafy canopy and listening to its whispered secrets. She would often sing to the tree, her voice mingling with the rustle of the leaves and the chirping of the birds. As the years passed, Lily's bond with the nut tree only grew stronger, and she became known throughout the village as the girl with the golden touch. For whenever she tended to the tree, pruning its branches, watering its roots, and nurturing its growth, the nuts it bore would be larger and more plentiful than ever before. One crisp autumn morning, as Lily wandered through the orchard, she stumbled upon a cluster of golden nuts hanging from a low-hanging branch. With a gasp of delight, she plucked one from the tree and held it in her palm, marveling at its shimmering hue. In that moment, Lily made a wish for the happiness and prosperity of her village and all who dwelled within its borders. And as she closed her eyes and whispered her wish to the golden nut, a warm glow enveloped her, filling her heart with joy and hope. From that day forth, the village flourished, its fields yielding bountiful harvests and its people living in harmony with nature. And though the golden nut had granted Lily's wish, its magic lived on in the hearts of all who knew its story, inspiring kindness, generosity, and the belief in the power of dreams. And so, the legend of the little nut tree and the girl who tended to it with love and care became known far and wide, a testament to the magic that lies within the simplest of things and the beauty of a heart filled with love. In a kingdom where elegance and refinement were prized above all else, there lived a prince who longed to find a true princess to share his throne. But despite his efforts, he had yet to meet a princess who could pass the test set forth by his discerning mother, the queen. One stormy night, as lightning streaked across the sky and thunder rumbled in the distance, a weary traveler sought shelter at the palace gates. Drenched from head to toe and claiming to be a princess, the traveler begged for refuge from the storm. Intrigued by the stranger's claims, the prince welcomed her into the palace, where the queen devised a clever test to determine her authenticity. She ordered the servants to prepare a bed for the traveler in the tallest tower of the palace, where a single pea was placed beneath 20 layers of mattresses and 20 feather beds. If the traveler was indeed a true princess, the queen reasoned, she would be so sensitive that even the tiniest discomfort would disturb her sleep. And so, with bated breath, the prince and his mother waited the results of their test. As the night wore on and the storm raged outside, the traveler tossed and turned in her luxurious bed, unable to find a comfortable position. Despite the softness of the mattresses and the warmth of the blankets, she felt as though there was something hard and lumpy beneath her. Come morning, the traveler emerged from the tower with dark circles under her eyes and a weary expression upon her face. With a sigh, she confessed to the prince and the queen that she had barely slept a wink, tormented by a strange sensation beneath her mattress. Delighted by her honesty and humility, the prince knew that he had found his true princess at last. Without hesitation, he knelt before the traveler and asked for her hand in marriage, knowing that she possessed the sensitivity and grace befitting of a royal bride. And as the storm clouds cleared, and the sun emerged from behind the clouds, the prince and the princess were married in a grand ceremony, their love a testament to the power of honesty, kindness, and compassion. And though she may have been a princess by birth, it was the purity of her heart that truly made her worthy of her title, a shining example for all who crossed her path. In a quaint cottage nestled amidst a snowy forest, lived two sisters, Snow White and Rose Red. Snow White was gentle and fair, with hair as white as snow, while Rose Red was spirited and kind, with locks as red as the deepest rose. Together, the sisters roamed the forest, their laughter echoing through the trees as they gathered wildflowers and tended to the woodland creatures. One winter's eve, as they sat by the hearth, a gentle knock sounded at the door. To their surprise, a great bear stood outside, his fur gleaming white in the moonlight. Though initially startled, Snow White and Rose Red welcomed the bear into their home, offering him warmth and shelter from the cold. As the days passed, the bear became a beloved companion to the sisters, joining them on their woodland adventures and protecting them from any danger that lurked in the shadows. Snow White and Rose Red grew to love the bear as if he were a member of their own family. One spring morning, as the snow began to melt and the forest awakened with new life, the bear bid farewell to the sisters, his true form revealed to be that of a noble prince under a wicked enchantment. Grateful for the kindness and hospitality shown to him, the prince promised to return one day and bestow upon them a great reward. Years passed, and the sisters continued to live in harmony with the forest, their bond of sisterhood unbreakable, and their hearts filled with love for all creatures. One day, as they wandered through the woods, they stumbled upon a sparkling stream, where a magnificent sight awaited them. Beneath the clear waters of the stream lay a trove of precious gems and jewels, gleaming like stars in the sunlight. Snow White and Rose Red marveled at the beauty before them, their eyes wide with wonder. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from the trees, and the prince emerged from the shadows, his enchantment lifted and his true form restored. With a smile, he revealed that the treasure was his gift to the sisters, a token of gratitude for their kindness and generosity. Overjoyed, Snow White and Rose Red embraced the prince, their hearts brimming with happiness and gratitude. Together, they returned to the cottage, where they lived happily ever after, surrounded by the love of each other and the beauty of the forest. And so, the tale of Snow White and Rose Red became legend in the land, a testament to the power of kindness, friendship, and sisterly love to overcome any obstacle and bring joy to the world. In the heart of ancient Japan, where cherry blossoms bloomed like delicate clouds of pink and the mountains whispered tales of old, there lived a humble woodcutter named Hiro. He spent his days among the towering pines and whispering bamboo, his axe ringing out like a song in the quiet forest. One evening, as Hiro made his way home through the woods, he stumbled upon a sight that took his breath away. A heavenly maiden, her robes as white as snow and her hair as dark as midnight, dancing amidst the moonlit trees. Enraptured by her beauty, Hero watched in awe as she moved with grace and elegance, her laughter like the tinkling of bells in the night. And though he knew that he should not intrude upon such celestial splendor, he found himself unable to tear his eyes away from her ethereal form. As the maiden danced, she caught sight of Hero standing among the trees, his eyes filled with wonder and admiration. And with a smile that lit up the darkness, she beckoned him to join her in her dance. For hours they danced beneath the stars, their hearts entwined in a melody of love and longing. And as the first light of dawn broke across the horizon, the maiden vanished into the mist, leaving Hero alone in the forest, his heart filled with a bittersweet yearning. From that day forth, Hero returned to the forest each evening, hoping to catch another glimpse of the heavenly maiden who had captured his heart. And though he searched high and low, she remained elusive, her presence felt only in the whisper of the wind and the rustle of leaves. But Hero's devotion did not go unnoticed by the spirits of the forest, who watched over him with care and affection. And so, one moonlit night, as Hero sat beneath the cherry blossoms, lost in thoughts of the maiden he loved, a gentle voice spoke to him from the shadows. "Your love has touched the heart of the celestial realm," said the voice, "and the heavenly maiden wishes to reward your devotion with a gift beyond compare." With a wave of its hand, the spirit summoned forth a magical scroll, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. And as Hero unrolled the scroll, he discovered that it contained a map that would lead him to the celestial realm, where he would be united with his beloved maiden once more. Filled with gratitude and determination, Hero set out on his journey, following the map through mountains and valleys, across rivers and forests, until at last he reached the gates of the celestial realm. There, amidst a garden of stars and clouds, he found the heavenly maiden waiting for him, her eyes shining with love and joy. And as they embraced beneath the moonlit sky, Hero knew that his love for her would last for all eternity, a bond forged in the quiet depths of the forest and destined to endure forevermore.